kind of been cooking alongside my parents for as long as I can remember. I used to just be the helper, kind of, if there was something that needed to be fetched from a shelf or some print fine label that no one else could read. I was kind of the one that would read it. If there was a pot that needed to be stirred for an hour and a half while everyone else was doing something fun, that was my job. But now it's kind of graduated towards the parents are helping me. So it's kind of turned around when I started watching some shows like Good Eats. That's a Food Network show. That's still my favorite and one of the first ones I watched. It kind of incorporates science into cooking. And that I like science, and it kind of gave me one more reason to like cooking aside from the eating yummy things part. Some people's parents, they don't want them in the kitchen. They're afraid they're going to get hurt. My parents, my father worked in a restaurant, and my mother comes from an Italian family. So I was kind of brought up around cooking. And so here's a couple of reasons why I think that kids should cook. The first thing is that if they make the food, the kid makes the food, they're more likely to eat it. They have a sense of pride behind it. They're going to feel like they're entitled to eat it considering that they made it. It's a little weird if you make something and then don't want to eat it. Yeah, also, and this is for more of the younger grades, like your kind of kindergartners, first, second graders, I think. It teaches measurement, math. You'll learn the difference between a teaspoon and a cup pretty fast, especially if you're baking. So you want to get them in the kitchen early. So if you're just like my age and it's like, well, here's the kitchen, start cooking. You've seen cooking shows, start cooking. They're going to be staring at you going, huh? What? And it can be something as simple as mixing together a salad, anything like that. Something else is that you want to have them just do things that make them feel involved. You don't want to have them doing something so kind of tiny and insignificant that's like, yes, we're making a cake. Okay, you measure the salt, then go sit over there. Also, you want to teach them about kitchen safety. And so at the most kind of beginning, that can be, don't go running around the kitchen while there's flame and sharp objects. And the more advanced, it can be dealing with things like this, blowtorch, or one of my favorite tools, fire. Fire! Also, sharp objects. First thing, and this is kind of when you're teaching the kids how to cook, especially when you're teaching them to use a knife, it's important that you start with the really basics. You might think that, yes, they're going to know to hold the knife like this. No, literally, you probably want to start off with, you hold this end, not this end. Yeah, I'm not gonna cut my finger off. I try to avoid it. I don't like my fingers getting cut off before lunch. Excellent. In the kitchen, you want to hold it like this. So you're pinching the blade. Gives you a lot more control. Maybe not so good for hacking through armor, but good for chopping things. So that allows you lots of control. Just kind of a little basic thing. How not to lose a finger, if you will. You also want to give kids their own tools. Like, for instance, this might be a good alternative when the child's a bit smaller to something like this. They could be using a paring knife, even, instead of a chef's knife. For instance, like, any adults, even me, I really can't go like this. But someone who has very small hands, this is probably quite easy. A lot of kids, they have some sort of interest in cooking. Even if they're not going to go into the culinary world, even if they aren't really interested in cooking, they're at one point wondered, ooh, food, this stuff tastes good. Where does it come from? Does it just fall out of the sky? I don't know. Does it grow on the trees? Does it come out of the ground? There's a kind of a fascination about that, so you're going to be curious about how that food comes unto being. Okay, also with the cooking, when you cook as a family, you're going to eat as a family, and that's something that's very important. You know, the parent-child bonding of working together in the kitchen. Even now, when I could cook by myself, I enjoy cooking with my parents. It's a fun activity, and now they get to follow my orders. Right? This will give those kids a little sense of power. Just not too much. They might get a little power drunk. Also, you want to give them some recipes that they can find on their own. This recipe, it only has 1 or 2 areas that would require kind of parental assistance, so it's a good recipe for kids. Like I said earlier, a salad is the perfect thing for that. You could use a blender maybe, make a vinaigrette. Very, very fun. Also, and I already mentioned, you want to give them their own tools, and that's beyond just a knife, as I mentioned earlier. Anything from miniature pots and pans, to, I don't know, give them their own miniature stove. All sorts of things. Maybe you don't want to give them their own blowtorch. So I think I'm going to begin my demo.